Some people are remembered for what they do, but fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, are remembered for the way they make others feel. They are the sparks in the room, the ones who turn ordinary moments into unforgettable stories. You don't just watch them, you experience them. Whether it's the Aries who dares first, the Leo who commands the spotlight, or the Sagittarius who pushes you to see life differently. Fire signs carry an energy that is magnetic, undeniable, and often larger than life. This isn't by accident. The psychology of fire is wired for visibility, movement, and impact. They burn quickly, they burn brightly, and whether you admire them or envy them, you can't ignore them. It's why so many leaders, celebrities, and cultural icons are born under these signs. Their lives are lessons in power, in charisma, in what it means to shape the world with passion. So, in this video, we'll explore the essence of fire, why Aries initiates, why Leo shines, why Sagittarius inspires, and why, no matter how far or fast the world changes, fire signs continue to leave a mark that feels eternal. Because when fire moves through a person, it doesn't just warm the room, it lights the world. Chapter 1: The Essence of Fire. To understand fire signs, you first have to understand what fire is. Fire is energy in its purest, most visible form. It consumes, it transforms, it destroys, but it also creates. Fire has been with humanity since the beginning, the warmth that kept us alive, the light that guided us in the dark, and the force that drove us to build civilizations. When we talk about Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, we're not just talking about personality traits. We're talking about people who embody this primal element in human form. Fire signs live through instinct. They move before others have finished thinking. They feel deeply, often before words can even explain what's happening inside them. And most importantly, they need an outlet, whether it's through action, expression, or exploration. Without motion, fire flickers. With fuel, it blazes. That's why you'll rarely see a fire sign blending quietly into the background. Even when they try, something about them still stands out: a presence, a confidence, a spark in the eyes that refuses to be dimmed. The element of fire is about life force itself. It is heat, passion, visibility, and willpower. And those born under this element are constantly searching for ways to keep that flame alive. Some burn steady like a candle in the dark. Others explode like fireworks, demanding attention. But all fire signs share one truth: they were born to ignite something in themselves, in others, or in the world. Chapter 2: Aries, the First Flame. Aries is the spark that starts it all, the very first sign of the zodiac, the beginning of the wheel, the child of fire. Think about what a flame looks like when it first catches: sudden, sharp, and impossible to ignore. That's Aries energy in its purest form. They don't tiptoe into life, they burst into it. Aries is ruled by Mars, the planet of action, desire, and drive. This is why Aries rarely hesitates. If they feel it, they move. If they want it, they go after it. And when they set their eyes on something, they approach it with the same force as a flame rushing toward oxygen. There's a raw honesty in Aries that's hard not to admire. They don't hide their intentions. You always know where you stand with them because they'll show you through words, actions, or sometimes even impulsive mistakes. But that's the beauty of Aries. They're learning as they go, not waiting on the sidelines until conditions are perfect. This is why Aries often feels like a pioneer. They carry a kind of restless courage that pushes them into uncharted territory. Whether that's a career path no one else has tried, a bold creative project, or even being the first in their family to break tradition. Aries isn't afraid of being the first because to them, the first flame is better than no flame at all. But here's the truth about Aries: the same intensity that makes them bold can also make them burn too quickly. Their energy is contagious, but if they're not careful, it can consume them before the fire has time to sustain itself. Still, the world needs Aries. They remind us of what it means to act before doubt sets in, to choose courage over comfort, and to believe that life is meant to be lived with heat, not hesitation. Aries is the strike of the match, the daring leap, the flame that says, "Go, now." Chapter 3, Leo, the Royal Flame. If Aries is the spark that starts the fire, Leo is the flame that keeps it glowing, steady, bright, and impossible to ignore. Leo is ruled by the sun, and that alone says everything. The sun doesn't chase, it doesn't hide, it simply shines and everything else revolves around it. That's the essence of Leo energy, a radiant presence that naturally draws attention without even trying. There's something magnetic about Leo. It's not always about looks or style or charm, though they often have all three. What sets them apart is their energy. They walk into a room and suddenly the atmosphere shifts. People notice. People feel it. It's as if Leo carries their own spotlight and others instinctively turn their heads toward the glow. But here's what makes Leo admirable. It's not just about being seen. At their core, Leos are givers. They radiate warmth, generosity, and loyalty to those they care about. A Leo will hype you up when you doubt yourself, stand by you when others won't, and fight for you as fiercely as they fight for their own dreams. That protective fire comes from the heart because Leo's greatest power is love. Of course, their confidence can sometimes be misunderstood. What looks like pride or ego is often just a deep need to express themselves, to be recognized for who they are and what they bring. Leos thrive when their light is acknowledged, not because they're vain, but because they're built to shine and to reflect that shine back onto others. Think of famous Leos, bold performers, leaders, and creators who leave a mark wherever they go. They remind us that self expression isn't just about showing off, it's about inspiring others to embrace their own light too. Leo is the fire that refuses to dim, the warmth that fills a room, the reminder that being unapologetically yourself is not only powerful but necessary. With Leo, the flame is not just for survival, it's for celebration. Chapter 4, Sagittarius, the Wandering Flame. If Aries is the spark and Leo is the steady blaze, then Sagittarius is the wildfire, untamed, boundless, and always reaching for new horizons. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, wisdom, and faith. That's why this sign burns with a different kind of fire. It's not just about action or expression, but about exploration. Sagittarius wants to experience everything life has to offer, the thrill of adventure, the wisdom of different cultures, and the kind of truth that can only be discovered by stepping into the unknown. Where Aries charges in and Leo stands tall, Sagittarius takes off running into the great beyond. They're restless souls, not because they're lost, but because their spirit is always searching, searching for meaning, for knowledge, for the next adventure that will open their mind and set their heart racing. What makes Sagittarius admirable is their optimism. Even in the face of difficulty, they carry an infectious belief that things will work out, that there's always something better around the corner. Their fire is one of hope, a flame that can inspire others to see beyond fear and limitation. Spend time with a Sagittarius, and suddenly the world feels bigger, brighter, and full of possibilities. But their fire isn't always easy to contain. Their need for freedom is as essential as oxygen, and they can feel trapped if tied down too tightly. Sagittarius thrives when they're free to roam, to question, to challenge, and to dream. This is the sign that reminds us growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. It happens when we dare to leave them behind. Think of famous Sagittarians, bold thinkers, trailblazers, entertainers, and risk takers who refuse to play it safe. Their influence doesn't just come from talent, but from their audacity to live without apology. They carry the fire of possibility, showing us that life is meant to be explored, not just endured. Sagittarius is the eternal wanderer, the storyteller by the campfire, the philosopher who laughs in the face of fear. Their flame dances wildly, spreading light in places that might otherwise remain dark. With Sagittarius, the fire is not meant to be contained, it's meant to spread, to inspire, and to remind us that the journey is the point. Chapter 5, The Psychology of Power. Power for fire signs is rarely about domination. It's not the cold, calculating kind of power that demands obedience or rules through fear. Instead, their power is radiant. It flows outward like heat, naturally pulling people into their orbit. Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius all carry this signature in different ways, but the psychology underneath is similar. For fire signs, power is influence. It's the ability to inspire, to spark movement, and to shift the energy in a room without needing to force it. Think of Aries. Their power is initiative. They don't wait for permission, they create momentum. When others hesitate, Aries acts, and that boldness is magnetic. People follow because they want to catch a piece of that courage. Leo, on the other hand, carries the power of presence. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't need to shout to be heard. Leo knows that standing firmly in one's truth creates its own gravity. Their charisma gives others permission to shine as well, and that's what makes their leadership so enduring. Sagittarius wields power through vision. They are the eternal explorers, not just of the world, but of ideas, philosophies, and possibilities. When they speak, they expand the boundaries of what others thought possible. People rally to their flame because they make the future feel exciting instead of frightening. What ties all fire signs together is this: their energy is magnetic because it's authentic. They don't lead by manipulation, but by embodiment. Others don't follow them out of obligation. They follow because being near them feels like waking up, like touching life at full intensity. But there's also a shadow side. Power, even when born from authenticity, can be intoxicating. Fire signs must learn to balance their flame, to shine without burning others, to guide without consuming. Without awareness, their confidence can tip into arrogance, their passion into recklessness. Still, when expressed at its highest, the psychology of power in fire signs isn't about control. It's about illumination. They show others what's possible. They remind us that courage is contagious, that vision is liberating, and that a single flame can ignite 1,000 more. And that's why, whether in history, culture, or personal relationships, fire signs are often remembered as leaders, icons, and trendsetters. Closing, the untamed flame. Fire signs aren't just personalities, they're catalysts. Wherever they go, something changes. A space brightens, an idea sparks, a movement begins. They don't merely exist in the world, they shift it. Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius remind us of the human need to burn brightly. Aries shows us the courage of beginning. Leo teaches us the dignity of standing tall in one's truth. And Sagittarius reminds us that life is meant to be explored, not confined. Together, they embody the full arc of fire, the spark, the blaze, the wildfire. Their psychology explains their lasting impact. Fire signs are wired for influence because they live authentically and unapologetically. They don't wait for permission, they don't dim themselves to fit. Instead, they act, they shine, they wander, and in doing so, they ignite others. That's why their presence lingers, why their names echo in culture, in history, and in memory. Their fire isn't just theirs alone, it spreads, but fire is not without shadow. It can overwhelm, scorch, and consume. Yet, even in its success, fire carries the same message. To live without heat, without risk, without passion is not to live fully at all. The lesson isn't to fear fire, but to respect it, to learn from it, and to let it remind us of our own spark. Because ultimately, fire doesn't just live, it transforms, it inspires, it ignites. The Aries who pushes forward, the Leo who commands presence, the Sagittarius who expands our world, each flame carries within it the possibility of awakening something in us. And that's the gift of the fire signs. They don't just burn for themselves, they burn to show us that we too are capable of catching fire. The untamed flame is never meant to be contained. It's meant to light the path, to set the stage, and to remind us in the boldest, brightest way possible that life is not meant to be dimmed. It's meant to blaze.